Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Cam Fats, aka Cam Jennings, coming at you on behalf of EpicConversions.com. What is up, everybody? It is Sunday evening. It's about 5:22 here on a Sunday evening in the great state of Ohio, where it's always sunny. You guessed it, except for today. I think it was snowing today. Absolutely ridiculous. That's okay. Whatever. Eventually, spring will get here. Eventually, we'll head into a little bit of summertime, hopefully. That doesn't matter. That's not what I wanted to talk to you about today. What's up, Fred? How's it going, man? Today, I want to talk to you guys about big picture content. It's something that a lot of people don't see a lot of value in at face value. When they think about big picture content, they feel like it's not as valuable as really, really in-depth, actionable content. But the truth of the matter is, big picture content is very valuable. It's very helpful, and honestly, it lasts really, really long. It usually generally lasts a very long time. When we talk about specific content that is very actionable, step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this, generally that kind of content has to be updated for it to still be relevant. Content like that I made in 2016 probably isn't nearly as relevant today. It might be sort of relevant, but it probably needs adjusted the older it gets. Whereas big picture content, a lot of times this big picture content can be very, very relevant for years. So in that respect, it can be very valuable. Another reason why it's valuable is because it kind of flips the switch for people. Big picture content, you can be listening to some big picture content about something, and like you might get an idea for something else. Like it might like flip a switch in your brain for something that's related, but just that kind of like big picture overview style content, it allows you the freedom in your mind to kind of like solve a problem that might not be directly related to what they're talking about, but because the content is so big picture and it's so broad in its scope, it allows you the freedom in your mind to apply it to several different things. I don't know about you guys, but I know a lot of the people that come to me with questions and have problems with their businesses and things like that. Like they're very specific problems that really, like, the advice that I give them, it only works for them. It's very specific unto them because they have, different little moving parts of their business that kind of just applies to them. However, a lot of this big picture content that you can put out there for people gives people that freedom. Like I told you, it can give them that freedom to take that big picture content and kind of apply it to their specific situation. I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit vague. Let me give you some examples of what I mean. The other day I was talking to you. I was giving a shout out to Lee Murray, and I was talking to you about a couple of books that he wrote that really inspired me. One was called From the Top, and it was very specific in nature. It was a very actionable book. It had very actionable content, right? And it was cool. But today, that book From the Top, it's not as relevant as what it was back when I bought it, that back in 2015 or whatever. And it's still relevant. Don't get me wrong, it's a great book, but it's not necessarily as relevant as it once was. It really kind of would need to be updated for 2019. However, in that book, there was another book that he gave as a bonus called Zero to Bureau. And it was kind of an origin story. And it was like his story of how he went from being this homeless guy working from a library to like making like over $100,000 with internet marketing and digital publishing. This is very big picture content. And it is just as relevant today as it was back then in 2015. It's not any less relevant. So it's important. It's cool, right? It doesn't need to be updated. It's just still very, very relevant today. That book that was written all those years ago is still easily able to be passed out and to serve people without being updated. So pretty cool. Another example, I did this trilogy on membership programs. I did a trilogy of products on membership programs. One was called Membership Dons. That was the first one. The second one was called The Drive, and then the third one was called the Easy 23. Now, the first one was Membership Dons, and it was a very specific strategy for starting a membership program. And it was cool, but it was very actionable. And, you know, as the years go by, that actionable content, it becomes less and less relevant. People have to adjust it more and more for their specific situation. The last one that I put out in that trilogy was called the Easy 23. Part 3 of that trilogy was called the Easy 23, and it was more big picture. It took these general basic ideas, these flip switching ideas. It was a concept. It was an idea, a way of doing things, right? I was teaching people to base their membership programs off of benefit and not off of content. Base your concepts off of benefit, right? Your membership programs, base them off of benefit. And I gave them 23 business ideas of how they can base a membership program off of benefit. Right now, it was fairly big picture, right? I didn't go into specific details of, you know, what plugin to use for the membership program, where to set it up. Should I use, Sonic Member, or should I use Member Mouse, or should I use whatever? I didn't go into specific thing about where to set things up and what software to use. I didn't get into specifics. It was big picture. It was conceptual. It was about flipping that switch in your mind and getting you moving forward. I referenced another book and a piece of content the other day, and I was talking about this book called Membership Sites That Make Money by Perry Belcher. I said, well, hey, this $2.99 ebook changed my life. And it really did. It changed my life. And without that book, there would have been no membership program for me. I would have never gotten started. Now, today, if you went to Amazon and you purchased that $2.99 ebook or whatever, Membership Sites That Make Money, what you'd find is an ebook that would appear to not be very relevant. You would think, wow, because in that book, they talk about, you know, giving an interview a month to an entrepreneurs club. And basically doing one interview a month with a successful entrepreneur and charging the members like $100 a month or whatever to access that interview. And back then it made sense, right? But today, by today's standards, that doesn't make sense when in the light of YouTube and the way things are today, that doesn't make sense specifically. It's not as relevant from a specific step-by-step actionable content standpoint, but as a big picture standpoint for understanding, continuity makes a lot of sense, and there's a way that you can get to continuity even if you think that you can't. It makes a lot of sense. So this was relevant, and it was the big picture aspect of that ebook is still very relevant, and the big picture aspect is what changed my life. So it was important, right? So those are a few examples of how big picture content is very, very important. Let me give you kind of another example, that's not related to things that have been written. Okay. I just want to give you an example of how this would work with big picture. If I want to produce kind of a big picture piece of content, I might start with something specific, because when we think about producing content, a lot of times we think, oh, I want to produce something amazing that's going to change lives. I want it to be an epic piece of content. It's going to be awesome. So I might say, okay, I'm going to come up with a piece of content, and I want it to be 10 ways, to put 1,000 leads on an email list in 30 days, right? That's a specific piece of content. I'm going to give you 10 ways to put 1,000 leads on an email list in 30 days. And I think, well, let me see. That's kind of what I might look at that and I might think, well, why does it need to be in 30 days? Why was that attractive to me when I came up with that name for that piece of content? And then that might go to, well, because people want results fast, right? So now my content idea, 10 ways to put 1,000 leads on an email list in 30 days, kind of moves into people want results fast, right? And then as I'm thinking about how people want results fast, I start thinking about some of the movies I've seen where people wanted results fast. And like that movie Speed pops into my head, you know, and that movie Speed was crazy, right? I don't know if you guys ever seen that. It came out in the 90s, came out a while ago. Some of you might not relate to this, but maybe a lot of you do. I don't know. But this movie was crazy. Let me give you basically the gist of it was, okay, this bomber plants a bomb. This terrorist guy, he's a criminal. He plants this bomb on this bus, right? And you know, you got the police officer. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie, so bear with me. But you got this police officer. He's on this bus. There's a bomb planted on it somewhere. The bus has to stay above 50 miles per hour. If the bus drops below 50 miles per hour, the bomb is going to explode and all the passengers are going to die, right? That's the basic, the premise of the movie, right? Now, do you think that those passengers wanted the guy to solve this mystery quickly? Do you think that like they wanted him to be able to disarm this bomb fast? Yeah, absolutely. They wanted him to be able to disarm this bomb fast. Just like someone might want to be able to put 1,000 leads on their email list in 30 days very quickly, right? Because when we want to make money online, we want to do it quickly. When we get into this business, man, we want to get started fast and move and make some money, right? So it's similar in that way to this movie Speed. Now, what happens in this movie is like literally everything that could go wrong goes wrong, all right? I mean, everything that could go wrong goes wrong, man. I mean, I can't even explain it. Everything in this movie goes wrong. Like the tire gets punctured in this bus. The freaking fuel line gets punctured. They start losing fuel. Literally everything that could go wrong goes wrong. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat with this freaking movie. You don't know what the hell's going to happen. It's nuts. It's a crazy movie. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it, man, because it's awesome. But anyways, the point is everything that could go wrong absolutely went wrong. In the end, Keanu Reeves plays the character in Speed, by the way. But in the end, he's able to get all these passengers off of the bus, and the bus freaking, you see the bus like explodes into this cargo plane at the end, but nobody's on it. They all make it off the bus. The bus ends up exploding into this cargo plane at the end, this crazy explosion, but everybody makes it off the bus before it slows down to below 50 miles per hour. And you might think, well, what the hell does that got to do with building a list? Well, the thing about it is everything that could go wrong went wrong. But at the end of the day, he still found a way to make it happen. He still found a way to get it done. Now, it probably didn't get done the way he thought it was going to get done. Because when he first started trying to, get rid of that bomb, he was trying to figure out a way to disarm the bomb, right? And so eventually he got all those people off the bus, and he didn't disarm the bomb. It ended up exploding. The point is, he met his end goal, but not in the way that he thought he was going to. So like the way I transition that back to the point, the takeaway, is that it's a lot like list building. Set the goal for 1,000 leads in 30 days. Maybe you'll make it, and maybe you won't. Maybe things will go wrong and it won't happen exactly the way you thought it was going to happen. But the fact of the matter is, if you keep trying, you will succeed. It will happen for you. It's just a matter of time. You have to keep trying. You have to keep moving forward. You will find eventually that way that will get you to those leads. There's no doubt about that. You just got to keep moving forward. So that's kind of how that kind of big picture content would happen for me in my mind, you guys. And now all of a sudden, my piece of content, the idea was 10 ways to 1,000 leads in 30 days. But now that piece of content becomes, how I learned everything about list building from watching Speed or something like that, something crazy like that, you know? And but it's funny because that's a piece of content that will inspire people like long after the other piece of content would. 10 ways to put 1,000 leads on an email list in 30 days eventually will not be as powerful as how I learned everything I needed to know about list building from watching the movie Speed, right? It's just eventually not going to be as powerful. The big picture content has more staying power, and it flips switches. It gets people inspired, and it makes them think. And it's big picture, so what it does is it allows them room it allows them the room, it allows them the space to figure out how to apply that big picture concept to their specific problem. I hope that makes sense, you guys. I'm not saying that actionable content and tight specific content doesn't have its place, because it absolutely does. Tight specific content is great. Actionable content is amazing. But what I'm telling you is there is definitely a place for big picture content. It's super valuable. It's super helpful. And you can use it to great effect to build audience, to help people, and, you know, to save the day. Just generally be a superhero, okay? You can use it. Anyways, guys, I hope you found this video, helpful. And, I hope you got some value out of it today. If so, give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. Leave me a comment. Let me know you're alive out there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, everybody.